Hey guys, welcome back to Paracord Planet. Today's project actually doesn't involve paracord at all. It can if you want, but we're using 3mm leather cord to construct this Celtic looking knot. We're inspired by Norse mythology and the role that knots play in there, but if we're honest, it's probably more Celtic in origin. So all you'll need is 8 feet of that cord. We're going to be turning it into a necklace. This one actually only used about 5 to 6 feet for the knot itself. And we'll be laying that out on some corkboard with a couple pins, just to keep things organized. Let's dive in. All right, so to start off, I'm gonna leave about 2 feet on this end. That's gonna turn into my lanyard of the pendant later. We'll start about here, and we wanna make 2 loops like this, right next to each other. And I'll pin that out so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna make it about 4 inches across, just so it's big enough to not get jumbled up later. So like that. This can just sit out up here, out of the way. Then we're going to bring 1 loop up to the top. Pin that down as well. If you're making this for yourself, you don't necessarily have to pin it out. It is going to be easier, but this is mostly just so you can see it without my fingers in the way. Then we're going to come down to a bigger loop down here. We're going to take the end of that cord and bring it underneath over here. So now we've got this here. We want to go over this cord, but then underneath this one right here. So we'll tuck it underneath there. And then you should have this. Then we're going to go down through this left loop over here. And then over the top of this one, tuck it underneath this one, and come out over the top. So over, under, over. And this is the base of our knot. It looks a little bit hectic right now, but essentially these are going to turn into our 2 bottom corners, and we haven't yet made the top corner. So we'll make that top corner as we go through and double up these cords, like we do in a Turk's head knot or something like that. So again, we're just going to leave this cord off to the side and not deal with that for now. And with this long cord that we've been working with, we'll find that end again, and that's going to follow through right alongside of this cord that we're leaving alone. So we just want to follow the same over-unders through the knot. So where this one's going underneath, and then over, then under, we're going to follow along to this top side of it through the knot. And then leave a little bit of a loop at the top like that. Let's wrap this around this pin just so that you can see it follows that one. So there you can see we have the 3 corners of our triangle now. We'll keep on following this cord through until we come out on the other end. So there we go, we've got 2 layers now. When you're doing that, you just want to make sure that the cord you're following never crosses over the cord that you are adding in. I'm going to repin this at this point just so that it's a little bit clearer what we're dealing with. There we go. So at this point you might want to shrink it down. We are going to be doing 1 more pass, but since I'm going to run out of cord here, let's shrink that down before I go any further. And that's pretty easy to do. We just want to follow that cord through again and tighten each loop as we go. So I'm going to stake these a little bit closer so that it has room to shrink. And it's just important to keep these loops bigger than the inner loops. If those get mixed up, then your shape isn't going to turn out right. Now is also a good time to get the twists out of the cord. Leather is really hard to make it lay flat because it's a little bit stiffer, but just kind of, if you see a kink in there, be sure to fix that before moving on. All right, so it's tightened down enough now where it holds its own shape. We're gonna do this one more time so that we have a total of 3 cords next to each other. So again, same thing, just follow that cord through. You'll notice that we have one less loop on top, but we will fix that at the end. So here's starting our 3rd round. There we go, we've got our 3 rows. Now I'm going to tighten this down a little bit further, and then once we get that done, I'll show you how to tuck these end cords in so that they fit into a nice lanyard, or you can end them right where they are. So to start out with tightening, I'm just going to take this end, pull on all 3 cords, and kind of tighten them together. And that's going to work for the first round. Then once we get all the way through the knot, we're going to have to start pulling the individual cords to keep on tightening that down. Gradually getting more and more slack here. And now that we pulled that all the way through, some of our slack came off on this end, so now we're just going to tighten these 2 cords all the way through the knot. Just want to make sure you're pulling on the right ones each time. Looks like mine is going to need one more round of tightening to get it down to that desired size. So there we go, I've got it all tightened down now. I'm at a place where I'm happy with it. It might take you a while, it just kind of have to fiddle with the different sides until they're all even and how you want them to look. But now to finish this off, I'm going to take this cord that we haven't done anything with yet, wrap it around the top, and complete that 3rd wrap on the top side. So we'll stick that down through, and then back up through the middle, following those cords beside it. And this is actually going to turn into the back of our pendant. And you can just end things here, cut both cords, and you'll have a nice looking knot. But I'm going to turn it into that pendant I was talking about earlier. So this cord's in a good spot for a pendant, but this one we need to do something with. So I'm just going to tuck that underneath this last cord right here, just like that. And this is going to turn into our back side. So once we flip it over, keep that behind, then you can't really tell that we tucked that cord in there. And we've got 2 loops to hang it around our neck. So now all that there's left to do is to turn these into our lanyard, and I'm just going to do that with a double fisherman's knot. So make it the length you want and tie each cord around the other one. We can link to a video on how to do this knot if you haven't done it before. There we go. I like how this turned out. A nice even triangle knot. Not sure if this has an official name, but yeah, just a nice triangle Celtic knot, and it looks great in leather. This will also work in paracord, but since paracord is more flexible, you might have to tighten this down a little bit differently to make that work. On the end screen, we'll link some of our other leather projects. A lot of them incorporate paracord as well. And in this video, we'll put down in the description a link to where you can find this leather in our store. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.